Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the world of RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship for the final round of the championship here at Silverstone. Let's go down to qualifying to see how it's all going out. So far, all looking pretty well with Jordan Sherritt leading out the pack and looking to really stand out towards the sharp end of the field. We'll have to see how the drivers are going to move their way up through the order. It's going to be a great time and see where it's all going to go from here. Jordan Sherritt followed by Luke Addison, Cody Sherritt, Kieran Patterson, and Bernard Barkhuizen, Christoph Peterson, along with Daniel, the Hitman de Villiers, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Michael Donaldson. 10th is Mahayath Musa, trying to pick up the charge and get back into the fight. So we have got so far a 155 is set by Jordan Sherritt, who is moseying his way to the top. We'll have to see how it all goes as the race continues. There's going to be lots to talk about, lots to see, and we're going to have to really keep an eye out as our drivers will focus on the charge and where it's all going to end out. Cody Sherritt, though, in second place is on almighty charge in the AF Courser and going and making up a bit of time, trying to do everything he can to stay within a shout of the championship as it goes. So, talking about that, let's go quickly through our championship standings, give you a bit of an understanding where everyone is and where it may all fall. Jordan Sherritt currently leading out the pack with Luke Addison in second place. And 279 points for Jordan Sherritt with Luke Addison on 264. Cody Sherritt on 243. 214 is Tariq Adam, followed by Kieran Patterson, Bernard Barkhuizen, and Henry Mayer, Christoph Peterson, Ryan Barrington-Smith, and Giovanni Polzio going and rounding out that pack. And taking a look to our virtual grandstands. Good to have you guys here. Big shout outs. We got Viatia Buerta coming in and saying, how's it, from the Martin Racing team. Now, if I remember correctly, though, rumors in the wind that have been coming in, lots and lots of changes throughout the RaceFace season, and lots of changes up for next season. I believe the Martin Racing team will be going in a little bit of hiatus. We're looking forward to seeing the drivers moving around. We will see a lot of changes during the course of the year, the remainder of the year, and into 2025 as drivers get themselves ready. But this is the final round of the season for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship, and it is going to be an absolutely hot one to talk about, as our drivers are not only fighting for 15,000 Rand cash by PokerBet. There's an added benefit to this. First, second of both our Pro-Am will receive 2 tickets to next year's 2025 Passion for Speed event that's happening out at Red Star Raceway, sponsored by Red Star Raceway. So big shout out to them. And big news coming in. So not only to sweeten the deal and raise the stakes here at the PokerBet table, we've gone and dropped that huge announcement out to the drivers. Now you guys get to hear it as well. But if you want to win big with RaceFace.Pro and with PokerBet, please go down to the description and go and join up with the likes of PokerBet. That affiliate link also helps out RaceFace, but it also allows you to win big as you push towards the sharp end of the order. So great to see it there. So far, fastest lap time though, 155.777. Jordan Sherritt can't quite beat the pace on that, and it's going to have to keep it pretty consistent. Mordrake Larson of the Pandacity trying to push it as hard as he can. But there is a bit of shout out, a bit of noise coming in from the virtual grandstands. Lots of excitement going in, bleeding in as well as we get closer and closer to the end. But it has to be to this one, because Antonio Gamble is the first one to really shout it out there. Jason Farmer, the boy, heading out onto the track with the Griffin Sim Racing team. Kind of afterwards, it's that Fender trailer connected to your main vehicle. Let's go see that Jason Farmer still pushing as high as he can. 27 cars will be starting off tonight in our Pro category. Pro-Am is alive as well, with Tristan Herbst behind the microphone, not behind the wheel this time, as they make their way through. Luke Addison trying to push as hard as they can, and a shout out coming in for the Stingers Racing team that has had some difficulty in it, but I know the team frantically worked on likes of Kira Bucher's car and Chris Collison's car just to ensure that they can get those two out and going. Looking to really be a top performer nonetheless. And we will see how it all battles out as the drivers move their way forward. Who's going to be able to take the titles here tonight? Well, it's anyone's choice. It's anyone's game for it. And I do think a lot of it's pointing towards Jordan Sherritt, but lots of pressure putting him from behind. Cannot get off the brakes. He's going to have to really, well, get off the throttle. He's going to really have to think rather closely on what needs to be done to ensure that he stays in with the fight and where it's going to go. So the drivers are going to have to really lean into that nonetheless as we fight our way through. And everyone looking to really step it up nonetheless. So, with Kieran Buick still going around, Kieran Patterson currently up ahead in the Mustang. Ford Mustang GT3, also known in the IMSA as the Ford Mustang GTD, going to be pushing as hard as possible. The Oracle ZA going and shouting out from the VIP PokerBet Grandstands. Good to see you out there. Good to see a lot of fun. Paul Fenter out on the track. Now, for many people that don't know, Paul Fenter, a dad of note, going and landing up, sacrificing one of his races last night. Little one woke up, got off her couch, and said, "Dad, read me a story." Had to park the car and retire it after that case. And yeah, he's back with a bit of vengeance on the way through. Christoph Peterson, keep an eye on Christoph. Was chasing down the likes of Luke Addison last night. Very close. Actually matched times to the split second between himself and Luke Addison. It does look like this time around a little bit different, with Christoph with a 156.410 and Luke Addison with a 156.455. So Luke Addison lying in fourth place. Going to be rather careful with it. Jordan Sherritt trying to improve the pace. Is he going to have enough in the bag to break that 155.777? Or will Cody Sherritt be able to snatch that away? He's having to knock off quite a bit of time out there. Kieran Patterson, 0.1 up on his time. Kerry Van Zale, 0.2 up. Jan Blicknote, 0.2 up on his time. And Kieran Bukes, 0.1 up on his lap time. So they're still hard pushing right the way through. Drivers trying to figure out what's going to work for them, how they're going to close up the gaps and ensure they stay in for the fight. It's going to be a lot to go for our drivers for the final race of the season, folks. And it's going to be one hard race all the way to the end. Luke Addison trying to step up the pace here. If he can win here tonight, he possibly has a chance to knock down Jordan Sherritt and take his handful of that 15,000 Rand prize pool as he jumps up to second place, going usurping Cody Sherritt. And Christoph Peterson not going to take that one lying down. It's going to come across the line. And Jordan Sherritt with a 157.08. Peterson matching with a 156.2. Going and dropping down Luke Addison. Cody Sherritt running in fourth. Kieran Patterson next up to take that charge. 0.3 of a lap quicker than his personal best. Possibly to get into that 155s and stay in for the fighting chance with 26 seconds to go before we start our 1 hour 20-minute race right here at Silverstone. Going to be a wild one, going to be an exciting one, going to be an absolute chase of note for our drivers to ensure that they stay in for it. Oh no, Kieran losing the tail of the Mustang, and that is all she wrote, unfortunately. Bago Krobler on the charge. He's currently lying in 14th position. 0.4 of a second up on his overall run. Hoping that that's going to stay in for the charge. 0.3 as he gives it everything he's got to try and make up a bit of time. Going to utilize the slipstream of Bernard Barkhuizen slightly ahead of him. A little bit too far to make that work. Cody Sherritt, you would notice, has got the AF Corsa on the car instead of the season he was running with the likes of Omnius Gaming. That has come to an end. They've concluded, shook hands and said thank you very much. So Cody Sherritt now jumping back into the AF Corsa colours and will be having a bit of fun. So not sporting with any teammates this time around. He is going to be up for a fight right the way through. 0.3 of a second and comes across the line to get himself into second place. So it's a Sherritt 1-2 as it stands. Christoph Peterson trying everything he can to usurp that. Luke Addison is going to try and push as hard as he can to make that break. But Ryan Barrington-Smith lying in 10th place. Don't count him out just as yet. Had a little bit of a rough season. He's looking to really try and improve it this time round. Going to be a huge, huge charge on his part to try and get it up and going and ensure that he can stay in for the fight as he closes up at a rate of knots to the back of Daniel de Villiers this time. There's no time left on the board, so you're either going to make it or break it. Are you positive delta or negative delta? We're about to find out. As here comes Ryan Barrington-Smith. Everyone's come across the line, not able to improve on their original times. And Ryan Barrington-Smith comes across the line. Oh, does not improve as well. So definitely going to be a thinking game for him. So ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to rock and roll for our final round, it's going to be a wild, wild ride for all our drivers to stay in for the mix here. It's going to be a close one. The race is going to be won or lost on the pits. And I do think that is where the question is going to be. When are you going to successfully get those pit stops done? When can you get it to fight out and work just right? So, as we get ready to move over to our race to start the final round. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 weeks ago, we started on RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. The final one for 2024. 8 weeks ago, drivers from around the country, around the world, lined up to be a part of the show to ensure that they can stand a fighting chance. 8 weeks ago, cars lined up on the line for the final, or the first race to get ready for the finals. The final push, the final season in ACC in South Africa to really get that little bit of movement forward. It's going to be a hard chase. It's going to be a climb. Who is going to have enough in the bag to stay in for the long term here as we get ready to rock and roll? So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's go to Tim down on the grid as we get ready to have some fun. So lining up for the final time here at RaceFace.Pro for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. The all or nothing chance. The runaways. It is a fight to the end. Our drivers will be ready to give it horns till the very, very end. And for the final time of 2024 for RaceFace.Pro, we will go through the grid. Our first, second, third, and right the way down to 27th. Tensions are rising. Nerves are on end. An hour and 20 minutes will change someone's future. PokerBet lined up at the line 8 weeks ago, said we want to do it again, and they became the absolute run. Last season broke history. 250,000 Rand in cash and PokerBet credits given to drivers competing around the world. And now it is 15,000 Rand for the end. If you want to have a good run for the end of 2024, time to win it big. 8 weeks ago it all started, and it's come down to this. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, raise those voices, get excited, shout it out as we go through the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship for the final time. Let's go through the grid. Jordan Sherritt, who's leading out the championship, starts in first place. Cody Sherritt in second place, running third in the championship, looking to lay in for the fight. Christoph Peterson, Luke Addison in fourth place. Fifth, Kieran Patterson, followed by Bernard Marquez and Bago Krobler, followed by Gideon Reyna, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, along with Ryan Barrington-Smith, Johan Bluchnout in 11th, 12th, Michael Donaldson, Mahayev Musa, Brandon Cougar, Werner Skimman, Kerry Van Sale, Andres Roradio, Loic Randabel will be lining up in 18th. Mordrake Larson's in 19th. Kerry Bucas, along with Henry Platt, Paul Fenter, Darren Miller in 23rd, 24th, Jason Farmer, Ian Upton, Tiernas Puerta, and rounding out the pack, Michael Schultz, ready to take charge. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see the anger, you can see the ferocity of these drivers starting to bleed through, and everyone having those emotions welling up, getting ready for this fight. It's going to be a wild, wild run. 1 hour and 20 minutes of pure racing. 1 hour and 20 minutes with 2 mandatory pit stops to make it or break it for the championship. 1 hour and 20 minutes to define your history in 2024. This is going to be close. This is going to be a fight. This is going to be a nail biter. This is going to be a difficult one. Silverstone is unforgiving. It wears the tires down. You can take up to 2 minutes a lap if you get it wrong around this circuit. It will cost you time. It will take the life out of you, and it will ensure that every bit of energy is required and focused mentally and physically. You have to be at the top of your game. This is the fastest of the fast in the world, lined up to get ready to fight it out as we get ready for one last shot. Looking over to the virtual grandstands, everyone's standing over and looking and shouting the flags, the voices, glad to see it. And here at Silverstone, we've come out to the UK, we're getting ready to go, and like the South Africans in the rugby, we're gonna have to fight it out for that one lonely point. Well, we're about to define. Only one can wear the crown. Who will it be as they round the corner? Final right-hander, and it is Jordan Sherritt to slow it down. 70 kilometers an hour. The rest of the field will stack up. Double file formation. Drive-throughs you don't want to get when you get a jump start. So you don't want to jump start. Lights on, lights on, lights on. Slowly through 70 kilometers an hour. Revs starting to build. Drivers looking ready to go. And 3, 2, 1, away we go. Launching our way through. Jordan Sherritt getting the run. Cody Sherritt trying to close off that second place. Immediately hangs on to the tail of Jordan Sherritt. Luke Addison with a climb. Got Stoff Peterson looking up on the inside as he gets through. No, couldn't quite get it through Maggots and Beckett to lose out a bit of drive. Oh, off into the dirt. Bernard Barkhuizen sees him come by. It's going to go around the outside. It's going to be the McLaren to try give a bit of chase. He loses out drive. Kieran Patterson immediately right into the toe. Bego Grobler throwing hands, gets into the fight, and immediately starts to get the pressure on. Bernard Barkhuizen up on the inside. Oh, Kieran Patterson's going to try and carry a lot of the momentum. Lunges in and gets that pass done. Patterson runs out wide, losing out a little bit of time, and now you can see Bego Grobler will have a lunge at him. Couldn't quite get that cinched in. We'll wait it out yet again. Daniel De Villiers trying everything he can. Gideon Reyna having to defend against Ryan Barrington-Smith and Brandon Kruger trying to give a bit of support from the back. Unfortunately, not going to work out here. Brandon Kruger goes and forces Ryan out a little bit wide, snatches the car back, and that closes up for likes of Johan Blicknote to get into the fight as well. Brandon Kruger and Ryan Barrington-Smith. Ryan stuck in the dirt a little bit, has to try and defend the 2 Aston Martins, and it does look like Blicknote has got Donaldson in for a mix as they fight their way through. Harry Van Zyl got Andre Sorodio looking on the inside and having a great run there. Donaldson getting into 12th, 13th position is Blicknote. Andre Sorodio up on the inside, tries to close off the gap. Harry Van Zyl has to counter it, looks to the outside. It's going to be a proper run. Maeth Musa is going to do everything he can to stay in for the fight here, really closing down the charge along with Loic Randall as they fight their way through. Loic just having to wait out. Werner Skuman, Henry Platt, along with Ian Upton, Paul Fenter, Jason Farmer staying in for the mix. Karabukas along with Tiernas Puerta. A little bit further down, Michael Schultz, Mordred Claessens, Darren Miller a little bit further back in the pack. But at the front, Jordan Sherritt breaking away, and it does look like the train's starting to open up a little bit as they fight their way through. Bernard Barkhuizen got Kieran Patterson sliding his way around. Oh, gets it horribly wrong into the dirt, brings it back. Going to cost him a bit of time there, and he's going to scrub those tires clean. Ryan Barrington-Smith dealing with the likes of Michael Donaldson, Johan Blicknote, Andre Sorodio, Kerry Fadzel, Mayanth Musa, and Loic Randabal as we watch this train build up behind the likes of Ryan Barrington-Smith, who's now going to have Michael Donaldson looking around the outside. Can he get it to work, though? Late on the anchors, Ferrari 296 around the Aston Martin V8 AMR. Well, couldn't quite get it all cinched in, and now Blicknote putting his nose in, trying to get that pass done and dusted. Michael Donaldson, huge line on the inside, couldn't get it cinched. Ryan Barrington-Smith, an absolute star on defense, will have to keep him at bay as they hunt down a little bit further through the pack. Gideon Reyna all over the back of Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. This Nissan has become quite a controversial one for going and fighting it out tooth and nail. Well, it's doing a fantastic job at the moment. Ryan Barrington-Smith goes and it's out Michael Donaldson, who switches around, tries an outside, tries to scoop back, couldn't quite get it sorted out. Blicknote has a look, but we do have one car off, and that is Mordred Claessen's. Oh man, that is unfortunate. Let's try and take a look. Please hold. As we cut to a replay, it holds! He got a replay, yes! Oh, that took me the entire day. Mordred Claessen's battling it out, trying to keep it together. Lamborghini steps out into the grass, bounces over the curb. Oh, snatches from underneath them. Oh, into the wall. Mordred Claessen's having a huge problem, and that is going and throwing him out of the order. Not ideal. As drivers fight their way through. So we have to see how it goes. Gideon Reyna keeping the pressure on Daniel de Villiers. Ryan Barrington-Smith dealing with Michael Donaldson. Loic Randabal landing up with a bit of contact, and he's a bit further down than planned as well. Werner Skuman going to have a great run and start opening up that gap a little bit more, seeing where they can go. Absolutely incredible stuff from our drivers, really trying to push the boundaries of where they can do. How far can they go? It's going to be a huge one for our drivers. It is going to be a proper one. Grandstands going absolutely wild, supporting the drivers, and Tim, the cameraman, who has had a year of note, is going to hang out for one more run in the season worth of racing. Blicknote getting absolutely swallowed up. Sorodio bringing the smoke up on the inside. Blicknote stuck on the outside. Kerry Fadzel leans in. The two Mustangs go and rub one another. Didn't quite work out there for the likes of Blicknote. Kerry Fadzel unyielding, unwavering, shoved his nose in, made sure, oh, a bit of contact under braking. Oh, second contact, Blicknote, huge sin, and that is going to be Mayanth Musa robbing both. Oh no! Kerry Fadzel catches into the door of Blicknote, and Mayanth Musa gets it in the neck. That is not what we wanted to see. That is not ideal for the 118. Maybe under braking. We gotta have to take a look. There's too much going on here. So let's see. Contact on the rear. A little bit frustrating. Secondary contact there. He's now trying to pick up the pace and give it everything he's got. Yeah, straighten up the steering a little bit there. A little bit of frustration creeping in, I would say. Unfortunately, that's going and hurting a lot of the races. Mayanth Musa taking a huge knock in that one. And the 54 now having to try and make a little bit of ground. Man, let's go to the helicam, and we can see Mayanth Musa, after that contact, just started dropping down the order as he had the cars in through the door. And unfortunately, straight line speed not working in his favor anymore. And we'll have to wait it out. So, not what we wanted to see, and I know that our stewards will be looking at that with a fine-tooth comb, but Mayanth Musa going after Darren Miller. So, undeterred, unyielding, and will continue the fight. The Project Vapor driver showing exactly what you need to do. Keep going no matter what. Keep pushing no matter what. And even when the chips are down, try and make the best outcome you can. And that's what it's all about here. Because sometimes you might pitch up to the table, you roll the dice, and you get those snake eyes that don't quite work out for you. And then sometimes you get that fantastic run. Oh no, the 118, Kerry Fadzel landing up in a problem yet again. Let's see what happened. Jason Farmer's ahead of him. Kerry Fadzel a little bit further down, late on the anchors. Too late under braking. Catches Jason Farmer. Fortunately, no other contact, but Jason Farmer getting caught out now, just trying to swing the car back. Goes and catches out. So Kerry Funzel, unfortunately, having a bit of a rough time there and missed his brake markers, caught himself out. Jason Farmer having that little bit of rear contact now, having to try and pull his way through. 2 minutes before pit window opens and allows our drivers to get in and serve their first pit stop. Remember, they've got 2 mandatory pit stops to serve, and that is going to dictate how the race goes. You're going to have to see where it all works out. Who's going to take tires? Who's going to do the splash and dash? That is going to be a proper run all the way through. The driver's going to be considering the different facts of what needs to be done there. What are the tires going to look like? What are the drivers going to feel? How's this all going to turn out? What's going to be the game plan here? A lot of drivers actually opting that possibly going and keeping the tires on for a little bit longer, get it to that second stint, and swap the tires out to do a splash and dash now for the first pit stop and do the tires after the fact to try and keep them going. Because the pressures are a bit low, it is only 10 degrees out on circuit, which is very cold. You do have to push the pressures up. Now bring the pressures down a bit, try and generate as much heat into those tires and keep going. But the slips and slides are starting to creep in. Brakes are going to battle out here as well. Andre Seradio all over the back of Michael Donaldson and Werner Skuman starting to close up little by little in a rate of knots. Ian Upton on the brakes, nearly having a bit of an upset moment with Paul Fenter, and Kira Bukas from Singer Racing immediately stuck his nose in to say, hey, listen, come on, Ian, make that critical mistake. Go and make an opportunity here. I want to go and get past. So it's going to be a good time for him and really focusing on what they need to do. So some tough racing out there, some difficult times, but drivers are still going to give it everything they got. And that's the one thing you cannot take away from these drivers is despite the best moments and the worst, they will still continue to push as hard as they can. And even for those that had those rough races, that had those bumps and scratches, we always got to take a look at those drivers that are giving it absolutely horns right now and really fight it out, because they're the ones going to the table. They're putting the chips on the table and saying, get me back in. I'm going to push as hard as I can. Now, still stand by that. Doesn't matter how many bad runs you have or you have bad times at the table, you'll always have those fantastic drivers that will keep pushing. Tiana Sporta into the pits and be the first car into the pits. Michael Schultz will carry on going. Johan Blicknote keeping the pressure on. Henry Platz at the moment. Ryan Thurser into the pits. Jason Farmer into the pits. 3 cars into the pits. And along with Darren Miller. Darren Miller gets himself into the pits as well. 1 retirement, and that is Kerry from that would be a little bit further down actually on the drivers going. That might have been Mordred Clausen's, come to think of it, that has retired out of the race, which is rather unfortunate on his part. Oh, Kira Bukes unfortunately getting Maggot to make it so wrong. He's visiting Buckingham Palace as he made his way through. He's up and going, but not ideal circumstances for him on the way through. So keep an eye on that. Johan Blicknote up past Henry Platt. And now they're going to focus on what they're doing. Henry Platt, remember, is Omnius Gaming Nitro. And Johan Blicknote, the main team, having a bit of a fight out there. Paul Fenter onto the back of Ian Upton. And will be continuing up the fight. Michael Donaldson, Andre Seradio, and Werner Skuman still pushing as hard as they can. Skuman trying to get onto the back of Seradio, who drops the wheel on the dirt. Lost a bit of time, though. Here comes Skuman. Looks to the outside. He's going to have to go late on the brakes, maybe for the switchback. The Mustang just not having the legs. Keeps the nose plugged in. Can he go for it on the apex? Trying to force my Andre Seradio out wide. It is straight line power. Can the V8 outrun the straight 6 of the BMW? Will it be the brute force America Bald Eagle chasing down, or will it be the straight line 6 with an asthma pump trying to get it? And it does turn to be the V8. The asthma pump didn't work out there. And the likes of Andre Seradio and that turbocharged BMW going and losing out the run, not having the straight line there, but will focus on the cornering. BMW very strong in the corners compared to the likes of the Mustang ahead of it. So it's going to be an interesting run there. Bernard Barkhuizen in the McLaren 720S versus the likes of Kieran Patterson. These two have fought it out time and time again. Kieran Patterson still laying in for the battle here. He wants to score big here tonight, not to hang around, and will be focusing on the charge. So let's see how it's going to work out for him as they try and keep up the momentum. hoping that it will be enough to get that little bit of pace. Closing up 0.3 of a second. They will be keeping a look at what's happening in terms of the pit stops, because at the moment, Tienes Buertes in 23rd is the one to watch out for, and has done. Remember, I was speaking about the possible times that need to be done out on track. Well, I can tell you, Tienes Buertes, Mr. Jason Farmer, and Darren Miller all pulled in for splashes and dashes. They did not put on a new set of boots on those cars. Those are still old tires that they're hoping to carry through a little bit more into the race, and it'll go for the second pit stop. Kieran Patterson trying to bit of a sweep round, fortunately losing a bit of time there. We'll have to focus on the charge late under the brakes to try and get it all sorted. Not ideal circumstances. Then keeps the power on. Nonetheless, dropping 1.1. Ian Upton and Henry Platt fighting out. Project Vapor and the Almost Gaming Nitro having a good go at one another. Who's going to be able to get that climb? That is the question at hand, and what everyone is asking back in the pit. And does look like Ian Upton, defensive drive, holds the inside line to try and get on the inside of Henry Platt, but didn't have that much to go for. And here comes Paul Fenter chasing down at a rate of not. Paul Fenter into the toe, Michael Schultz into the toe. Kerry Bukes of Stinger Racing trying to battle that out, and Paul Fenter late on the anchors, swings it through, late on the brakes. Oh, Ian Upton tried to go underneath him, a little bit of contact between the two, and Paul Fenter going and yielding as Ian Upton still stayed in for the fight. Michael Schultz closed up at a rate of not. Oh, tank slapper on the way through, a little bit too early on the power there, and now Michael Schultz try to give it everything he's got. Looks to the inside, backs out of it. Garrett Bukes chasing down behind. Garrett looks for the inside, couldn't go for it. He is going to try and put his nose in to try and force Michael Schultz to make a mistake here. As Stinger Racing down in 21st, 20th, 19th, and 18th are chasing each other. So far, one of our closest trains out on track. Everyone else quite open at this point and ensuring that they could stay in for the fight. So different battles happening out on the circuit. Drivers trying to push himself that little bit more. So far though, Jordan Sherritt looking to take the championship completely. Luke Addison in second place is in a critical spot to try and keep ahead of Cody Sherritt. If Cody Sherritt stays where he is and Luke Addison drops down out of that top 5, he will lose out that second place to Cody Sherritt, and that is not ideal circumstances for him, as they'll be keeping a very close eye on that. Tariq Adam down into 4th. He's already out of that top 3 position, so keep an eye on it. It's going to be a close run towards the top, and former teammates turn bitter rivals when they come here to the world of Silverstone for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. And for the final round, 20 seasons, folks, 20 seasons this entire series has been going on, which is absolutely incredible stuff. And as a longevity of it just keeps going. So, what's on the line though? For those just joining in, a huge welcome, massive welcome to you guys. Let's put a reminder of what's on the cards for the championship. It is going to be the winners get their hands in the prize pool of 15,000 Rand for our pro division. Now, next thing that comes in, that is brought in by PokerBet. But winners of this race for Pro and Pro-Am will score 2 tickets going and sponsored by the likes of Red Star Raceway to the 2025 Passion for Speed event. So keep an eye on that. Paul Fenter and Ian Upton a bit further down. Kerry Bukas getting the run through Michael Schultz. What on earth happened to the 42 and 28 as they were fighting it out? So let's take a look. Paul Fenter is in the AMR Aston Martin. Ian Upton in the Ferrari. And Paul Fenter trying to make up a little bit of time. Closes up at a rate of knots. Gets the rear. Yep. Gets him twisted around. Paul runs out wide. And that lands up a bit of a turnaround. Ian Upton and Paul Fenter going side by side. Paul trying to give it everything he can to defend. Has to sacrifice that position under braking. And it allows Ian Upton to retake a position. Not quite where he was, but it's now going to be a hard chance between them. Kieran Patterson trying to make up his time and really trying to close up the gap as they fight their way through. Great to see the drivers pushing themselves out a little bit more, seeing where they can get in for the fight. It's going to be a wild run for everyone, as it does look like the gap's starting to open up a little bit more. Closest currently out on track, Paul Fenter and Ian Upton, as they battle their way through. 52 minutes of that pit window still open, Mandatory 2 pit stops, folks. That is what's going to be going through the driver's head. When can they get that pit stop done and dusted? How are they going to do it? So I do think roughly at the 45-minute mark in the pit window, that's where you're going to see majority of the drivers get that first pit stop in. Well, talking about that, first in from our top 10, Kieran Patterson, just to prove me wrong, gets into the pits, didn't take out the 50-kilometer board, as he has to slow the car down from about 120 kilometers an hour right down to 50 onto that pit limiter and just keep it going nice and steady down the pit lane, get into the box. Interesting one is going to be if he's going to take a new set of tires. We'll keep a close eye on that, as it's 18 seconds at the moment as he makes his way through. Gideon Renner onto the back of Bago Krobler. They're currently fighting out for 7th and 8th position respectively, and will be trying to close up. Vernon Skuman over the back of Michael Donaldson. Michael Donaldson in the Ferrari 296 versus Vernon Skuman in the Mustang, trying to chase down, and Ryan Barrington-Smith leading out that little train. Kieran Patterson coming out of pit lane. Interesting enough, 8.8 seconds in the box. He's gone straight for a splash and dash, and will keep going. So it does lead on towards the end of the race. We will see those tire changes. I don't think there's going to be any cars going that little bit further on one set of tires till the end of the race. Yes, the track conditions at the moment, his cooling down, it's gone down to 9 degrees from the original 10 that they started, but I don't think it's going to be a one tire strat the whole way through. Donaldson onto the back of Ryan Barrington-Smith, can't get that pass done, and Werner Skuman still leading out the pack as they make their way through. So Kieran Patterson comes out in 21st position, and that is going to set the bar for all our drivers to ensure that they stay in for the fight. Who's going to be able to close the gaps on the way through? So currently, as we get into nearly 20 minutes completed of this race, let's go through our leading pack at the moment. Jordan Sherrod out in first place with Cody Sherrod 5.7 seconds back. Luke Hazard sitting in third, Christoph Peterson in fourth. Fifth place, Bernard Barkhuizen, followed by Daniel De Villiers, Bernard Grobler, Gideon Renner, Brandon Kruger, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Michael Donaldson, Vernon Skuman, Andre Sorodio, Loic Randall, Johan Blicknote, Henry Platt, along with Kira Bukes, Michael Schultz, Ian Upton, Paul Fenter, Kieran Patterson, Tianos Burta, Myth Musa, Jason Farmer, Harry Van Sale a little bit further down, still sporting that damage from a little bit earlier, and Darren Miller down in 26th position. Donaldson and Skuman fighting it out. Does look like Donaldson gets a run on Skuman. Skuman's going to try around the outside, over the curbs. He's not going to back down from the fight. He's going to have the inside through Maggots and Beckett. Is going to hook it in. Does try, slides it across, and gets it done and dusted. Forces Michael Donaldson to come off that power and force that Ferrari to get a little bit unsettled on the way through. It's a definite tough time between them, but some great racing nonetheless. A very, very brave move on both drivers' part, and well done to both drivers actually getting it all hooked in and beautifully sent to make it work. Paul Fenter and Ian Upton still fighting it out. 0.3 of a second between them. Everyone's roughly about a second now as they're just trying to find their rhythm. Staying in with the mix. 59 minutes to go. You don't want to impact your race right now. And so far, Kieran Patterson, who has pitted earlier, he's pitted within that first 20 minutes, is now out on track. No one bar Darren Miller is the only one that's changed tires. He's down in 26th position, the 33.7 in the pits, so that is a tire change to keep him going. It's definitely a difficult time out there. Nonetheless, drivers trying to make up a great charge. It's going to be a hard one for everyone to keep up the pace. Michael Donaldson all over the back of Vernon Skuman, looks for a way to get round, looks on the inside, couldn't quite get it hooked in. We'll have to wait it out yet another lap with the frustrations building and building and building on the way through. Everyone trying to see what's going to be the next capabilities here, what needs to be done as Donaldson keeps on to the back of Skuman. Skuman just manages to keep the legs at the moment with that Mustang, utilizing all the power, roughly about 500 horsepower within the car. 5-litre V8 that's under the hood there, and oddly enough, as much as it's got a very long bonnet, if you actually go and look at the Mustang, take the covers off it, you'll see the engine is dropped extremely low, much like the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo, as they drop the engine low and they force it as deep towards the cockpit as possible to just try and get that center of balance, to try and get it a bit more like a front engine, mid-engine sort of way. So yes, it's a front engine, but try and get it as close to a mid-engine style, and that will try and help it out. One of the newer iterations of the GT3s that are around, much like the Chevrolet Z06 that's currently out on circuit. Their races in the IMSA and WEC series. We'll actually be seeing that in the SRO coming up, believe it or not. Kerry Bukes, though, chasing down Henry Platt, trying to close up the gap, and Bukes doing everything he can for the Stinger Racing, having a really good time out there. Bukes is going to have to really dial it in. You can see as Henry Platt starts to move the car around, trying to snap that toe, and you've got Kerrich really keeping that pressure on. Looks to tighten up on the inside, enough to read the McLaren badge on the back. Looks for the outside, going to try and keep the momentum through as they get through a tight left-hander, quick right-hander, gently feed the power on, second into third, and just keep it nice and tight out into fourth. Carry the momentum. Now it's going to be all slipstream on the way through, a light brake, quick right-hand, stay onto the power, a little bit too much curb there, and that's going to cost him a bit of time. Got to be so careful there, because you will end up going exceeding track limits, and after 3 times you'll get awarded track limit warning 1, 2 and 3 before you land up with a drive-through penalty added onto your time, absolutely starting to kill you out in the race. So you've got to be very careful. Now for those keen eyes that are looking at, they watch it, they'll see it's 9:30 in the evening here at Silverstone, and that means that our drivers are going to have a rough time nonetheless, as they will see a bit of a problem. Michael Schultz, though, has come to a stop. Oh no, getting a bit of a look here. Michael Schultz, 135, has come to a stop and is out. Michael Schultz is out of the race. It looks like mechanical problems kicked in, and he is out of the race. Werner Skuman into the dirt, loses out the drive. Donaldson sweeps on by. He gets past. Skuman still trying to catch that Mustang as it's gone all over the show on him. Sorodio going to say thank you very much, and now Loic Randall going to give the chase. Skuman trying to battle his way back after losing out through Maggots and Beckett. Has to try and stay in for the fight. Loic Randall leaning into the power there, and will be trying to make it as fast as possible. Going to try it again. Go to the 4-3 because it was actually looking like contact that he had out there. So here's Werner Skuman chasing down. I think that was Michael Schultz that he got a bit of a catch out to. Number 1 on the car. Side by side, runs out a bit wide, loses a bit of momentum, and that just cost him a bit of time. So Rodeo landing up into the dirt as well. The number 6 having a bit of a tough time out there. Our replay system seems to be working. Yay! I'm so happy about that one. That's all I can say. So Rodeo going and trying out his luck. Dropped a wheel in the dirt, cost a bit of time, got unsteady, brings it back, but that lost a huge amount of time through his race, and not ideal circumstances for running through. Kerry Bukes all over the back of Henry Platt now, trying to close up the gap and do everything he can to stay in for the fight as they power their way through for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. Considering this is the final race of the season, this is going to be a very hard race for the drivers to go and keep it all together. And considering so much is going on, Kerry Bukes into the pit. He's going to be keeping a close eye on Kieran Patterson. Paul Fenter chasing down Ian Upton. They are both not going to opt to get into the pits and rather keep it going. So Bukes drops down. Kieran Patterson gaining yet another position on the way through. Let's take a look at the positions, gains and losses at the moment. Kieran Patterson, after his pit stop, has gone down 13 positions, but has got 2 more positions ahead of him. Paul Fenter and Ian Upton now fighting it out nose to tail. He has the opportunity to score big. Ian Upton, so far the most has gained positions, 9 positions since the start of the race. The Project Vapor driver still hanging in for a fight. Paul Fenter losing out that drive. Ian Upton going to try everything he can to maintain the drive as we jump on board, looking at the rear wing and on the rear deck of Ian Upton's Ferrari 296. You can see that Aston Martin V8 AMR 2019 spec keeping onto the back of his car, and just behind that is Kieran Patterson, who is going to try and take a look as we go on board with Paul Fenter off the rear wing, the DMX Electrical being shown on the car, and you can see how Kieran's hunting down those apexes, not wanting to make an attack just as yet. He wants to make sure it's a clear, concise pass, not to hang around. If he goes for a lunge and it doesn't work out for him, it will cost him more time they're not. So he's got to work it out just right and get that braking zone just right to be able to get that pass done and dusted. As he closes up the gap to Paul Fenter, he's going to rather stick it round, going to utilize the slipstream to pull himself along here. It's going to be a close run as they pull their way through at the moment. And does look like Kieran Patterson is going to have the opportunity. 0.3 of a gap. He's keeping it in the toe. Closing. Paul Fenter trying to snap that toe. Is it going to be enough though? Patterson looks around the outside. Going to go for the charge. Possibly an undercut here. Couldn't quite get it sorted out. Paul Fenter losing out his drive. And we'll have to stick it all together as they make their way through. Werner Skuman on the back of Michael Donaldson as they are 0.2 with one another. So drivers focusing on the charge will be making up a bit of time here. And it's all or nothing for our drivers. Skuman on the back of Donaldson, carrying a lot of momentum through, stays in for the fight. And it's going to be a monstrous race down to the end as they try and keep some little bit of pace going. That little bit of drive needed to stay within the fight as Skuman up on the inside. Donaldson going and losing out. It's going to go side by side. It's going to be a hard brakes into the hairpin. Ferrari's going to have the advantage. Skuman having to lift ever so slightly. Couldn't get that drive out and will be battling to keep himself in check. A little bit of frustration starting to creep in for our drivers, but that's what happens here. And this is Lard Loker Annabelle to stand for the fight. Kieran Patterson gets past on Paul Fenter. Paul nearly into the back of him, completely gets it bottled, and now goes off into the circuit. He's going to have to try and rejoin nice and safely. He does so nice and gentle, and especially with that brand new direct drive that he's recently got. He's going to have Bago Krobler going to make short work of him. Unfortunately, not having enough drive, and he will have to focus on the drive to keep it going. Bago tried his luck. Unfortunately, not able to do it just as yet. Looks for a big send. Couldn't quite get it all cinched in. Werner Skuman getting ahead of Michael Donaldson. Donaldson trying for the inside. Loke Randall in the chase as well. Loke going to try for the inside. Couldn't get it work. Donaldson trying once again for that inside. And Skuman battling it out. We'll see Loke Randall into the pits. Donaldson saying, I'm not getting into the pits. I'm going to keep that drive. I'm going to keep that push. I'm going to give it horns right to the end. It's going to be a huge run for him. Kieran Patterson, yet again, another driver that Loic Randall is going to have to keep a very close eye on as Ian Upton pulls into the pits. He's going to drop down the order. Loic Randall still sitting. This will be Kieran Patterson to take yet another position, moving up to 15th on the run through. So great run for him. Unfortunately, Paul Fenter is going to be hurting as when he gets into the pits, he's currently lying in 16th. 39 minutes and 42 seconds left of this race. And is still, well, of our pit stop window, 49 minutes and 35 seconds of the race. So huge, still a bit of time. 2 mandatory pit stops sitting for our top 50. They'll be our top 40. Needing to get their final pit stops out of the way and stay within the charge. As we do see Bago Krobler closing up onto Paul Fenter. The night sky starting to settle in here at Silverstone, and those brake markers starting to fade into oblivion. It's going to be a hard push for them all as Bago Krobler tries to look around, seeing for the inside, swaps around, outside, inside, couldn't quite get it all bottled together, and we'll have to wait it out behind Paul Fenter, possibly go and lean in for that second pit stop. And as he comes on by, nope, not going to aim for any of that. He's going to continue the momentum and really stay in for the fight nonetheless. Kieran Patterson onto the back of Henry Platt now. Around the outside, late under the brakes. Mustang doing everything he can to close up a few positions. Huge send, gets it in. Henry Platt tried to defend, unfortunately couldn't get it going. Kieran Patterson up into 14th. Carries on his bit of momentum. Jordan Sherritt a little bit off into the dirt, costs a bit of drive. Cody Sherritt running in second place. Luke Addison in third. Fourth place, Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barquez, and Daniel De Villiers, Gideon Renner, Brandon Kruger, along with Ryan Barrington-Smith, Werner Skuman, Michael Donaldson, Andre Serradio, Johan Blicknote, Kieran Patterson ahead of Henry Platt. Now Paul Fenter keeping the fight up with Bago Krobler aligned in 17th. 18th, Loic Randall, Tiernas Puerta, Therapeutics, Myth Musa, Jason Farmer, Harry Funzel, Darren Miller, and Ian Upton. Still keeping that bit of momentum on the way through. Remember, Myth Musa was part of the earlier contact that cost him a bit of time. They will be keeping a close eye on that Project Vapor drivers to get into the end. Bago Krobler looks on the inside of Paul Fenter. Couldn't get the pass done and dusted. Henry Platt lost a bit of time. by dropping the wheel off track, unfortunately, as well, as we did see a quick flash of the yellow flag kick up on our monitors as they make their way through. Paul Fenter trying to keep it all together. Maggots Beckett slides, and here comes Bago. Quick work of Paul Fenter, who lands in the dirt. Paul trying to bring it back. Lose a bit of drive, side by side they go, and Paul Fenter, no option but to yield, and Bago Krobler going and put on the pressure to Paul Fenter until he made a mistake. Got the pass. Now Paul Fenter gets to return the favor as they get a little bit more of a push towards the sharp end of the field. And ultimately, this is going to be a wild race for Paul Fenter to try and maintain the drive, as drivers will need to focus on what they have to do to ensure that they get to the end of the line. Jordan Sherritt still leading out that pack, has now gotten onto the back of Darren Miller, who is still continuing the pace. Darren Miller will look at his mirrors and see that the leader has closed up the gap at a rate of knots, and Darren will be radioing in to the likes of Kieran Patterson, letting him know that, hey, listen, this is where the leader is, where I'm on track. Just give some bit of guidance out there of what needs to be done. How hard do you need to push? Christoph Peterson all over the back of Luke Addison, as Peterson 0.4 of a gap onto the back of Luke Addison as we go to the spoiler, the ITB Esports of Luke Addison. Looking back at Peterson, still staying in the mix there. And Addison now will be keeping a very close eye on Peterson on the way through. Gideon Reyna goes for the dive. Daniel de Villiers stuck on the inside. Gideon Reyna going to be on the outside. The Ferrari going to try and utilize a bit of an undercut. Swaps around. Couldn't get it all sorted out. Daniel de Villiers, having a lot more power underfoot, was able to continue the run. Johan Blickno now into the pits and serving his first pit stop to get it done and dusted. Once again, let's see where the time ticks over. Who's going to be able to get that pit stop in? Who's going to be able to work their way to the top? Who's going to walk away with their share of 15,000 Rand, sponsored by PokerBet, as they stand at the table ready to throw the dice? It is the final time for the season to score points, and it's now or nothing. And the stakes are getting higher and higher because Red Star Raceway said, if, well, we got a bit of a charge here for the likes of our race, and we want to really put it in. Red Star Raceway coming to the show and putting down those tickets for the Passion for Speed event next year happening in Red Star Raceway. Do not miss that one out. Great to have them on board, and that shows how it's turning into a more and more wild moment where the lines between sim racing and real IRL is starting to be blurred in between it all. Even Motorsport South Africa taking note of sim racing and saying, listen, this stuff is becoming a little bit more underfoot, something to keep an eye out. Bernard Barkhuizen into the pits as he serves his pit stop, and coming out of that top 5, immediately dropping down as Daniel de Villiers and Gideon Reyna go and pass on by. And these two are not holding back on one another. They are trying everything they can. As the night sky is cinched in, you can see the headlights becoming more reliant to try and get them around the corners, and it's going to be late braking for them all, with Daniel de Villiers leading out that little bit of a train at the moment. Gideon Reyna closing up through Maggots Beckett. Ferrari's rotation coming in, but this is where Daniel de Villiers has got plenty power underfoot with that turbocharged Nissan V, and then Nissan trying to make up a bit of run. That V6 shouting out into oblivion, and it didn't earn its name Godzilla for no reason. It still has become something of a monster to deal with out on track. Christoph Peterson now going and making his way around to Luke Addison, as we do see Cody Sherritt with a quick flash of lights, letting the drivers know, hey, listen, it's time to move out of the way here. Luke Addison will have to keep that well in mind, as that looks to be Harry van Zyl that he's going to have to get by, and likes of Christoph Peterson is not afraid to go and create a little bit of a blocking maneuver, box him in and ensure they can get the pass done. Well, for the likes of Luke Addison, he's going to have to really put the power down and really keep it underfoot as he closes up to the back of Kerry van Zyl, who hasn't quite got the straight line after the earlier contact at the beginning of the race, and has cost him a bit of time. How is it going to play into the effect for Christoph Peterson to either get an advantage, or Luke Addison to put a car squarely in between himself and Christoph Peterson? Now, Luke Addison did take the win last night for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series. It's an easy pass with Kerry van Zyl into the dirt. So not arguing too much there. but he's going to have to keep that in mind. He's won last night. Can he make it work to get a run on towards a charge? Going to be a proper way all the way through. Drivers are going to have to think for its huge pace. Andres Rodio misses out the corner completely and trying to rejoin behind Jason Farmer. Bit of a difficult time out there, not an easy one. Rodio starting to feel those tires walking out on him. Two cars have completed their pit stop so far. Something to talk about. Dennis Puerta and Ian Upton both completing their pit stops and are now racing to the end. 42 minutes to go. 32 minutes of the pit window, and still our top 10 have not gone into the pits at all. Now, how much is that going to lose out a bit of time, where they're going to have to really push themselves and focus on what they need to do? Well, Jordan Sherritt hoping to keep ahead of his brother Cody Sherritt, chasing him down in second place. Luke Addison running in third. Christoph Peterson running in fourth place. Daniel De Villiers along with Gideon Reyna trying to close up that gap. Brandon Kruger, Ryan Barrington-Smith and Werner Skuman making a huge chase at the moment. Werner Skuman still laying in the pressure. He wants to try and get this done and dusted and move on as quick as possible, as drivers will focus on their charge to stay within the fight. Werner Skuman hoping that Ryan Barrington-Smith is going to lose out, and it's going to be a huge run for him to get into that 8th place and keep it at time. Karabuka is now into the pits as well, trying to serve his final pit stop of the race and race the remaining 41 minutes in the dark. I've got to say, for me as a preference though, and a lot of the drivers that I chat to, they're in the Pro-Am and Am categories, they would rather get the pit stops done now, especially as the nighttime sky starts to fall in. They can keep that rhythm throughout the circuit without worrying about getting into the pits, especially with the lights having to be your main concern here. As Christoph Peterson now into the pits, Daniel De Villiers, Gideon Reyna all into the pits as they try to get it done. Will Brandon Kruger follow suit? No, he's going to keep on going. Ryan Barrington-Smith, I think, is also going to keep it going, and Werner Skuman deciding he's going to get into the box and get himself sorted out. Donaldson going to come on by. So our top 10 starting to filter into the pits now, and how's it going to work out? But take a look. Oh no, the Stinger Racing. It couldn't have got any worse for the likes of Bucas. Bucas scoring a stop-go 30-second penalty for going and coming off the pit limiter a little bit too early, and will have to get back into the box. Stop for 30 seconds and get himself back onto the circuit. Frustration must be mounting underneath that helmet, and the Stinger Racing team will immediately go onto the radio and starting to communicate and saying, right, calm down, let's focus up here, let's try and recover what we need to do, let's look at the distance between the cars, let's look at what our race is. We have got time to pull it back. It's going to be hard work though, and where can we go? I mean, this is when you start bartering with the driver to calm him down and get that bit of skill out. If it's going to be, you got to push a little bit harder for a chocolate milkshake, you got to push a little bit harder for a hug, maybe a jam donuts at the end of the finish line. Well, here at PokerBet, anything is possible, and these drivers are going to utilize any bit of motivation to keep that bit of pace. Jason Farmer keeping Andre Sorodio at bay. Sorodio, good charge onto the back of Jason Farmer, and these two, got to take my hats off to them. Not last season, the previous season, that both raced in Pro-Am and developed themselves. The previous seasons, they Pro-Am, they developed themselves into Pro. Might not be at the sharp end of the order of our pros, but to go and really rise to the creme de la creme at the top of the racing spec here in RaceFace.Pro and in South African sim racing, this is definitely a huge one. You can really take your hat off to the drivers that are still out there pushing as hard as they can. Even to those that are fighting it at the back, have an opportunity to really show off the skills that they have, not only for our pros, but our Pro-Ams and our Ams, fighting it here for the final race of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet. Luke Addison, Brandon Kruger, Michael Donaldson into the pits. So Jordan Sherritt, Cody Sherritt, Ryan Barrington-Smith still out on track, still pushing as hard as they can. They have not pulled into the pits, so taking a very interesting line here. Paul Fenter up into 9th place. Remember, he's still got 2 pit stops in the bag for him to go and try and make a move and see where it's going to work out. Going to be a tough time. I don't think he's going to be in that top 10. Possibly a top 15 is going to be on the cards here as time goes on. Mahath Musa has got Werner Skuman And it is that straight 6 BMW, the inline 6 BMW, going and keeping a fight with Werner Skuman with that monstrous Ford Coyote V8. Now trying to step up the legs, really try and force that way past, ensure that he can stay in for the fight, as we do see Myers Mercer into the pits. So he's going to get himself done and dusted. Luke Addison fighting out with Paul Fenter. Side by side they go. Paul Fenter not going to back down from the fight here. Now they are fighting for overall position. Even though Luke Addison has done a pit stop, Paul Fenter does not have to yield the position. Oh, a little bit far, both onto the fringes. Paul Fenter not going in, giving an inch, and Luke Addison putting his best foot forward, ensuring that he gets that pass done and dusted, as he knows that Kieran Patterson will be trying to make up for the time. Paul Fenter did put a little bit of a lean on him to ensure they could try and get by. Fortunately, he couldn't hold him back, and now it is all out for the charge. Andre Seradio over the back of Jason Farmer as they make their way through. Kerry Funzel and Jan Blacknote into the pits, along with Myers Musa and Darren Miller. Seradio around the outside. Beautiful run on Jason Farmer, who couldn't fight it back. Farmer caught out, and now will have to focus looking at the rear lights of that BMW for a little bit longer, as we do see Cody Sherritt, Jordan Sherritt, Ryan Barrington-Smith into the pits. Bego Krobler is going to keep on going by and try and make up that little bit of time in between. It's going to be a hard run for him. I don't think a top 3 is going to be an option here, but if he can put a bit of space between himself and Luke Addison, I think that's where the game is going to be, as Bego Krobler puts himself into second place, as we do see Cody Sherritt coming out of the pits. Jordan Sherritt out ahead in first place. That Mustang just in shot. You could see it run by. Cody Sherritt now lying in third, with the likes of Luke Addison getting his way past, and we'll see a bit of a change. Paul Fenter trying to make up some time. Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barquez, and Daniel De Villiers for Gideon Reyna comes on by. Ryan Barrington into the pit and loses out the drive to a good couple of drivers, as he keeps up that little bit of motivation through and seeing where it's all going to turn out. At the moment, though, Jordan Sherritt with a dominating lead. Brandon Kruger, though, is definitely going to be hurting on his one, lying in the likes of Brandon Kruger is way down the order after his pit stop and has scored a drive-through penalty. Not going to be an easy time out there for him. So he's running in 11th. So here's game 1, but he's got a drive-through penalty, and that is for track limits exceeded. Now, how do you get that? That is for going and cutting the curbs too much, crossing the white lines, and maintaining a positive delta. You will get 3 warnings. The stewards come over the radio to say, warning 1, warning 2, warning 3, drive-through. Done. Finished. Don't even try your luck. And, well, Brandon Kruger being the first of those to get the drive-through penalty. Miller gets a stop-go 30-second penalty, and that is going to be for speeding in pit lane, so he's definitely going to be hurting on his run as well. So drivers starting to feel the hurt, feeling the drive, and who's going to be able to make that time. Bego Krobler defending against Cody Sherritt. Cody Sherritt's going to look up on the inside, can't get the pass done as yet. This is taking out a lot of drive for him. Bego Krobler doesn't have to move out of the way. Remember, they're fighting for overall position, and it still is going to be side by side between the Hybrid Racing and Cody Sherritt and that A of Corsa. And it does look like they, of course, Cody Sherritt gets the pass done and dusted, and now into second place yet again, trying to carry that momentum. Lost out a good bit of time, 8.9 seconds behind Jordan Sherritt. He's going to have to really work hard here. Bego Krobler is now only 2.6 seconds ahead of Luke Addison as they push each other towards the limit of what they need to do. Close running between Werner Skuman and Ryan Barrington-Smith. Both have served their first pit stops and will be looking to try and push it a little bit further on. Interesting enough, though, looking at the tyres strategies now as we went a little bit further into the race. Jordan Sherritt, change of tyres along with Cody Sherritt. Bego Krobler only did a splash dash way earlier. Luke Addison, change of tyres. Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barquez, and Daniel De Villiers, Gideon Reyna, all done tyre changes. Loic Randebelt, just fuel. Brandon Kruger is tyres, Ryan Barrington tyres, Werner Skuman tyres, Michael Donaldson tyres. So quite a few drivers gotten that little bit later into the race. gone and swapped out their tires. Now it's their final push. They're going to leave it for a splash and dash on the way through. Ryan Barrington-Smith dealing with Werner Skuman, who went off the line, kept his power in, and that will be going and giving him a warning for drive-through to possibly come. Werner Skuman manages to take that position, but was slightly offline. That is going to compromise his bit of time. Ryan Barrington-Smith will still keep in for the fight here and ensure they can get a little bit closer in the chase as they close up the gap. Time starting to tick over. Time starting to run out. All drivers looking to push themselves for round 8 of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. And it has been a proper run nonetheless. And everyone looking to try and close up that gap a little bit more on the running. And it is going to be a huge run for the drivers to stay in for the fight and keep themselves on the way through. Ryan Barrington-Smith dealing with Werner Skuman, can't get that pass done and dusted as yet. Christoph Peterson getting ahead of Paul Fenter. Paul Fenter, not too much of an argue there, and I think he got a little bit of slowdown trying to line himself up for Maggots and Beckett. Got caught out by the lights. Peterson says thank you very much. He gets bottomed by. Brandon Kruger now into the pits, serving that drive-through penalty. Don't think it's going to be his pit stop. No, that is a drive-through that he's serving. Try and get it out of the way. He did have 3 laps to do it. Loic Randebel getting a drive-through penalty as well. And that is just devastating for him as he was in that top 10. And now it will be completely out of the running. And that is for track limits exceeded. Again, those track limits becoming a little bit more of a Achilles heels for our drivers as they push that little bit more. Ryan Barrington-Smith and Werner Skuman still on the back of one another. Does look like Ryan closes up that gap, then loses out with a little bit of straight line as he goes and fights his way through. Luke Addison and Bago Krubler keeping up the charge on one another. Does look like Bago Krubler is getting a little bit ahead, but Luke Addison now on fresher tires has got himself an opportunity. Closes up in the slipstream and is right onto the back of him. Closing. Bago Krubler is going to have to get defensive. Headlights ablaze, and he's going to have to be careful not to get too dazed as it shines into the mirrors. Left, right, and center. But it is Bago Krubler who is keeping up the pace. Folded in those mirrors. Goes out wide. Oh, loses a drive. Luke Addison says thank you very much. Gets a pass done and dusted as they fight it out side by side yet again. Luke Addison sweeps across the nose of Bago Krubler to try and slam that door shut. Bago Krubler looks for the inside. Second guess the option there. It was definitely a little voice in the back of the head that said, what if? And thankfully they thought back of, nah, seen this party before. Don't want to get too involved. So our top 13 still need to get their final pit stops out of the way. 15th, Brandon Kruger and Henry Platt still need to get their times done and dusted. Loic Randebel now diving into the pits. Is this going to be for his drive-through penalty? Is this going to be for the pit stop? We're about to find out as he makes his way through. And I think this is for the drive-through penalty. And yes, it is. So Loic Randebel is going to go that extra run in. We do have a car in the pits, and there's Darren Miller. He's been there for quite a while, though, serving that stop-go 30-second penalty. Drops the hammer down, and now trying to get himself back out on track. So not an easy time for him. Kieran Patterson getting the pass of Loic Randebel. He's up into 13th place. And now keep an eye on Kieran Patterson. Very, very close eye here. 13th position. Done all these pit stops. Now it's just momentum all the way for the final 28 minutes and 54 seconds of this race. And it's going to be a hard charge for them to really keep that momentum on the way through. Never an easy time. Never a dull moment for our drivers to ensure that they can get in for the fight and stay within the fight nonetheless. So it's going to be a proper run all the way through. Brandon Kruger trying to make up some time. Closes up to Loic Randebel just ahead of him. The two teammates are out on track. Ironically, both drivers have gone and served a drive-through penalty. Loic Randebel and Brandon Kruger have served a drive-through penalty and will be sitting with that on the back of their mind while they race one another. And I'm sure that there will be a bit of team orders coming in saying, listen, you've already been clouted with the naughty stick. Don't do it again. Rather try and focus on the charge of what you need to do to stay in together for the race. It's going to be a long time of you guys playing nicely with one another. Maeth Musa and Tianas Buerta also duking out. Tianas Buerta lying in 18th position with Maeth Musa in 19th. Brandon Kruger, oh no! No, no, no. Say it's not so. Commentators curse. I think it was so. Brandon Kruger in the Aston Martin looked for the inside of Loic Randall in the Ferrari. Loic trying to keep it together. Brandon Kruger onto the curbs. Gets it wrong. Huge send on the inside. Oh, no! Both cars colliding with each other. Brandon Kruger and Loic Randall both served drive-through penalties and landed up driving into each other's doors as well. Oh. Well, not ideal circumstances for them. Loic Randall now into the pits. And that ding in the door is, oh man, missed his braking marker. What a thing to do. What a thing to do. Werner Skuman, Ryan Barrington-Smith trying to have a go at one another. Paul Fenter and Bernard Barkhuizen are having a chase with one another. Barkhuizen looked for that inside line. Tried to eye it out. Second guess the option. Pulled himself back here. Now lying in 6th place. Trying to eye out Paul Fenter. Looks for a way past. Dives on the inside. Paul Fenter, no way to bring that nose of the Aston Martin in and loses out that drive. Does take a look back on the inside, but unfortunately the McLaren 720S is just going to pick those revs up quite quickly and ensure he stays in for the fight nonetheless. So great running for them as drivers are trying to force their way around and see where they can go. The front tire is starting to fade off on them here at Silverstone. Tough circuit for all the drivers. Ryan Barrington-Smith onto the back of Werner Skuman, who had a very slow exit as he tries to get the Mustang all together as they fight it out for 9th and 10th. Ryan Barrington-Smith keeping within the tow. Werner Skuman a little bit of a move to the left-hand side just to ensure that maybe he can sap that toe. A little bit of movement, trying to upset the aerodynamics of Ryan Barrington-Smith, running a little bit back. Paul Fenter pulling into the pits for his first pit stop. 15 minutes ago, that pit window, and cutting it very close. He's going to have to look at a very close double stop between one another. And Ryan Barrington-Smith will have to try and push Werner Skuman into a bit of a mistake here. Paul Fenter dropping down the order. He's going to start fading out of here and will be keeping a very close eye. Werner Skuman, Ryan Barrington-Smith trying to fight it out at the moment. And everyone doing everything they can to keep up this a little bit more pace as time starts to tick away. Jordan Sherritt leading out the pack. Cody Sherritt in second. Luke Addison, Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barkhuizen, Daniel De Villiers, Gideon Renner, Werner Skuman, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Michael Donaldson rounding out the top 10 as it stands, as our drivers all looking for any bit of motivation, any bit of pace. As Ryan fights it close to Werner Skuman, doing everything he can, laid under braking, couldn't quite get it hitched in, we'll have to back it out a little bit, and now Werner Skuman relies on all the power that's underneath the foot of him. That V8 needing to scream and try and break away from the British Bulldog of Ryan Barrington-Smith, who has just latched on at this point onto the back bumper, not yielding and looking to stay in for the fight. Runs out a little bit wide, not able to keep any of that momentum going. Best lap time of the race, so has been set by Jordan Sherritt with 156.117. 53 minutes into this race, and that is absolutely great stuff to see that drivers getting a bit more comfortable. Track conditions 9 degrees, so it's very cold. Oh, Ryan Barrington-Smith going and bouncing around off circuit, so was on the curbs, dropped a wheel off onto the dirt. It launched the car, got it very unsettled, and we'll have to keep it going. Keep an eye though, Bago Krobler has pulled into the pits. He's first leading out the drivers that are pulled into the pits, but Kieran Patterson has now got onto the back of him. So Kieran Patterson, who did the earlier pit stop, now trying to keep it onto the back of Bago Krobler. Went that little bit later into the race, played into his favor. Kieran runs out a bit wide. The PWSR Mustang all over the back of the hybrid racing Ferrari 296, swapping around, goes to inside. Bago Krobler stuck on the outside, going to try and carry the momentum through. Side by side they go. Not ideal circumstances. And Kieran Patterson will try and slot himself in for Magaton Beckett. Keeps a bit of momentum. Oh, very close as Bago Krobler slams across the nose of Kieran Patterson and says, not going to happen, buddy. And I have to work a little bit harder on that one. Kieran a little bit off the gas. Keeps the power on. Slowly feeds it back up. and will stay in for the chase. So it's going to be a close one between them. Kieran Patterson doing everything he can onto the back of Bago Krobler and tries to make his way by. Looks for the inside, lays on the anchors, down third, down second, using a little bit of engine brake to try and keep it all going. And Kieran hoping that he's going to have that little bit more legs underneath him to stay within the fight. Bago Krobler trying everything he can for a bit of a defense, loses out the rear a little bit as it starts to snap underneath him. Not ideal circumstances. Bago Krobler starting to feel that pressure more and more creeping in. Kieran looks for the inside and second guess it yet again, leading onto that right hand mirror quite a bit to try and see if Bago Krobler will glance at it just ever so slightly, that fraction of a second, that slight opportune moment to get on by, because at the moment both drivers are costing each other a bit of time here. And if they need to go for the pass or need to go for the defense, it needs to be absolutely certain that they don't lose any time, nonetheless, as they need to close up 10 seconds to Michael Donaldson ahead of them. Ryan Barrington-Smith all over the back of Vernon Scuban as they fight their way through as well. Kieran Patterson with the send, couldn't quite get it lynched in and has to wait out yet again. Kieran Patterson hoping, praying, begging for the opportunity, saying, come on, there you go, I want to get on by. This is absolutely ripping at the shoelaces to try and get past. And Bago Krobler is trying to keep it all together and stuck to the middle of the circuit. Kieran's going to go around the outside and it's going to be late on the anchors. Tries to go for the send. Can he get it in? Can he get it going? He tries around the outside. Kieran's got the run. Bago cannot fight it out. Maggots and Beckett's next. Kieran gets it launched in. Maggots, Beckett's sends it. Got it. Bago Krobler having to wait yet another time around as they fight it out. And that is the pass that they needed. The 333, unfortunately, yellow flag for the Stinger Racing. Garrett Bucas going and losing out a bit of time. What happened over the curbs? Just fine. Gets run out a little bit wide. And onto the hanger straight. And whoa, a little bit of uncertainty starting to creep in. He does bleed off the gas quite a bit. Allows the likes of Vernon Scuban and Ryan Barrington-Smith to get on by. Doesn't want to argue with him too much. And will allow the drivers to keep up the momentum. Closest run in the order, Bago Krobler and Kieran Patterson. Second to that, Vernon Scuban and Ryan Barrington-Smith, who have now closed up the gap between one another. Top 10 still needing to do their final pit stop though. Jordan Sherritt, Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barques and Daniel De Villiers, Gideon Renner, Vernon Scuban, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Michael Donaldson, still needing to really get those cars into the pits. And they've only got 10 minutes left in that pit window to get it done and dusted as we head on to the remaining 20 minutes of this race. The final race, round 8 of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship here at Silverstone for 2024. This is it. Done, dusted, game over. If they lose out the drive at the moment, Ryan Barrington-Smith latching on to Vernon Scuban, trying everything he can to stay in for the mix here and can't quite get it all sorted out. Ryan's going to have to think a little bit smart here. What needs to be done? Vernon Scuban starting to hurt out those front tyres. Keep the pressure on. Try and force that understeer to start getting worse and worse and worse. It'll start creeping out more and more. They've got fresh set of boots on them, both cars, but this is now in favor of Ryan Barrington-Smith. Unless he clips those curbs, that's going to drop those pressures down more and more. And this is the track getting at its absolute worst. If we go on board, this is out the helmet camera. Ryan Barrington-Smith can see how the corners are just fading into the black and having to utilize the headlights to go and see what's happening out there. Thankfully, Vernon Scuban is ahead, but if we jump on Vernon Scuban's car, you can see the reflection coming off the tarmac and from the lights of Ryan Barrington-Smith still staying in the mix there, and it's enough to just keep your eyes constantly looking back to it. White lights, a definite problem in the world of racing, especially white LED super bright lights that will go and just flood your mirrors, and you'll have to just try and refocus all that effort, look back towards the sharp end and see where you can go and try and put it behind you at the way it's going. While Vernon Scuban doing exactly that, opening up a second gap over Ryan Barrington-Smith as our top 10 still needing to get into the pits. Along the 30th position, Paul Fenter, Brandon Kruger and Henry Platt still needing to get themselves done and dusted after their run. Darren Miller drive-through penalty and he's pulled into the pits. It looks like he's retired the car. Unfortunately, Thriller Miller will be concentrating a bit of frustration there, switching into a more proactive thing, jumping on the radio, listening in to what's happening with Kieran Patterson and see where that's all going to turn out for him. as they fight their way through and see where our drivers are going to be making up their bit of chance. You'll also be listening out to this driver, Daniel de Villiers, his best friend, going and listening and saying, right, what's the plan here? What's the score? Tell me what's happening with the cars. Let's try to work out in the pit lane what's going to be the ideal situation. Gideon Rayner now into the pits, trying to get his final pit stop done and dusted. As Jordan Sherritt, Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison running first, second, and third. Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barkhuizen, and Daniel de Villiers, Vernon Skuman, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Michael Donaldson keeping up drive. Kieran Patterson now up into that top 10. Going to be quite happy with that. Will get himself on a good run. And oh no, Gideon Rayner, stop go 30-second penalty. What a night for the Omnius Gaming. 2 drive-through penalties and a stop go. Tough time out there. Gideon Rayner going and really trying to keep up that charge. And now Paul Fenter going to be rubbing his hands together, because if Gideon Rayner gets into the pits, he can get that pit stop done and dusted. And he knows that Gideon Rayner is going 30 seconds. Gideon actually coming off for gas and just allowing Paul Fenter to go. He's like, listen, my race is already toast. I'm not going to cost you a bit of time here. I want to rather get you going, keep me in the tow, pull me along, and let's see how far we can get this race going. So drivers do everything they can. 6 minutes of the pit window open, and it is still a charge for it. Who's going to be able to get their way into the pits? Going to be a tough time. Our top 9 now needing to get into the pit lane for the final 6 minutes of the race, considering at the moment lap times on average is sitting about the 157.5 mark for our top 9 as they fight their way through. That is going to be a tough loss, because remember, that's closer to the two minute window, and that can cost you a bit of time, considering 5 minutes and 50 seconds. One small mistake can lead to a problem. Talking about mistakes, Henry Platt pointing the wrong direction in that number 9. And let's quickly go to our helicam and take a look. What happened to Henry Platt as he makes his way through? Ryan Barrington-Smith notifying that he's just got into the pits, but this is Henry Platt riding in 16th at the moment. Was in 15th, runs out wide. The McLaren 720S bites the dirt, comes across, and oh, monster impact against the wall. That is going to cost him a fair chunk of time and limping it back to the pits in a big way possible. I mean, let's go on board to the helmet, and that pretty much tells the story. Fighting with the car to keep it straight, sitting at just going on nearly a 90-degree angle to try and point that car straight nonetheless, and that is just absolute agony. And he's bailing down the order. Here comes Jordan Sherritt, who's going to see this broken car, leads on by and says thank you very much, not to have too much time compromise, but also at the same time just feeling that pain. As a driver, you start feeling that pain for your fellow competitors and going, that is not ideal. That is not what we want to see, and it is going to be a huge run nonetheless, as our drivers will start to, it's going to be a huge one for our drivers to really start thinking their way forward. Jordan Sherritt, Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barkhuizen, Daniel de Villiers, Vernon Skuman, Michael Donaldson running in 8th position as they battle their way out. And I can take a look at some of the lights shining at the PokerBet VIP virtual grandstands. Good to have you guys here. Massive shout out to you all as we look towards the closing stages of the race for round 8. This is getting wild. It's getting exciting. There is mistakes creeping in, and others trying to get their pit stops done and dusted. See Henry Platt now into the pits, getting himself sorted after that major impact he had. It's going to take him a bit of time to get that car sorted out and back out and going. Paul Fenter out of the contention for the top 10. Still got one final pit stop to go. But it is Jordan Sherritt, Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barkhuizen, Daniel de Villiers, Vernon Skuman, Michael Donaldson running in that top 8 at the moment. They still need to get their final pit stop done. They got 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It's going to be a hard charge here. And the question is, when are they going to be able to do it? Kieran Patterson trying to keep on the pace. Paul Fenter now into the pits and will be sorting himself out. Whoa! Nearly taking out the board. Got a little bit close there, a little bit too exciting on his run, and came in a little bit too hot. Now let's take a look though. 3 minutes and 8 seconds. They're doing 1 minute 56s, so theoretically they should be able to do a lap, maybe a second lap to get it right before they need to pull in the pits. It's going to be cutting it close, though. I wouldn't recommend it for the drivers, because we do see Jordan Sherritt opting. He's not going to go and stretch it out any further. He's going to rather get himself into the pits. Cody Sherritt will probably do the same. Stop, go 30-second for Paul Fenter as he gets out of the pits, off the pit limiter a little bit too quickly. Paul the Wall Fenter will be kissing that top 20 goodbye, and like a sour is going to go down rough. That is for certain. And taking a look over, LC Jabir going and shouting out for the GSRT team, and also for Jason Farmer. Good to see you, LC Jabir, and good to see that you're out there in the virtual grandstands. Was wondering where you've been. It's been a long time. Cody Sherritt out in first place. Jordan Sherritt in second, coming out of the pit lane. Luke Allison into the pits. Christoph Peterson into the pits. Bernard Barkhuizen into the pits. De Villiers is going to keep going. Oh boy, this is close. This is very close for De Villiers. Now, let's work out, in theory, if De Villiers gets this right, he is going to be pitting right as the pit window closes. Now, for a pit window to work out in the favor of the drivers, they will need to be into pit lane, cross the white line, and on the pit limiter to get counted as you into the box before the window closes. If not, game over. You'll end up with 130 seconds dumped on your time. Cody Sherritt and De Villiers are taking that risk. 1 minute and 14. Oh, this is going to be close. One slip from these drivers. All it takes is one slip, one slide, one dive into the dirt, one back marker can absolutely grab it, wrench their heart, and pull it out hugely. As we see Bernard Barkhuizen up on the inside, and Kieran Patterson gets that pass done and dusted. Kieran's going to come fighting back through it, as we're going to follow this battle through, but we'll closely monitor Sherritt and De Villiers' pit, whether they're going to get in. 43 seconds left of the pit window. Both drivers are still out on track. They are not in the pits yet. Cody Sherritt, though, has got himself into the pits only just. De Villiers still going. 28 seconds to go. Is this going to be it for De Villiers? 24 as he tries to close up that gap. Cody has literally got it at the mark. Can De Villiers get it right in before the pit window closes? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, he's got it on this final 2 seconds. De Villiers has managed to dive into the pits with 2 seconds to spare. That is just tremendous. That is close. 2 seconds on that pit window. That is absolutely mental. And that was such a gamble. That was a roll of the dice for De Villiers. I understand what he was trying to do there. He was trying to get it far up through the order with the pit stop, but man, that was way too close for comfort for anyone. That heart and mouth, that 2 seconds could have been the absolute downfall. Cody Sherritt timed that one to a T to keep ahead of Luke Addison and did it beautifully, but also 14 seconds to get it into the pits. Not an easy time, and what a run for him. But Jordan Sherritt retakes that top spot as we enter the final 8 minutes and 56 seconds of this race, and it's Jordan Sherritt, Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, Christoph Peterson, Bernard Barkhuizen, Kieran Patterson, along with Daniel De Villiers, Begor Frobler, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Werner Skuman, along with Michael Donaldson, Andre Seradio, Brandon Kruger, Mahath Musa, Tianis Porto, Logan Randable, Gideon Renner, Jason Farmer, Ian Upton, Johan Blicknote, Gerrit Bukers, along with Paul Fenter, Henry Platt, all still going. Unfortunately, a good couple of retirements during the course of this race due to mechanical errors creeping in and taking drivers right out of the race. Kieran Patterson trying to lynch at a few points that he needs to get past Bernard Barkhuizen to at least get into that running of that top 5, ending off on an absolute high. Well, it's got 8 minutes and 12 seconds to that Mustang to really give it horns at the moment, ensure he could stay in for the fight. Ian Upton losing out a bit of a drive. He's onto the back of Johan Blicknote at the moment. Blicknote did have a little bit of earlier contact in the race, and that did cost him a fair amount of time, as they do see Cody Sherritt of that ITV Esports just ahead of him has now put a lap on these two. Ian Upton trying to close up the back of the Omnis Gaming. Gideon Reyna onto the back of Loic Randall. These two are also chasing each other at a rate of not. Gideon Reyna is going to have to be very careful around his teammate not to get caught out under braking. And it's going to be a tough time for the two Omnis Gaming cars to just try and focus on the brake markers, move it back roughly about a meter and a half, just rather be safe and not run into your teammate, especially into the final minutes of this race. And considering it's a final round, it needs to be an absolute doozy. Both drivers have had a tough time out there. Loic Randall, 2 drive-through penalties, and Gideon Renner with a stop-go 30-second penalty that cost him a bit of time out on circuit. And that landed up with both drivers getting that absolute whip from the stewards, saying, no, back it down, guys. Don't do anything like that. And not having the easy run there. Bernard Barkhuizen holding on to that top 5, but only just, as Kieran Patterson keeping the pressure onto the back of him. Kieran, on his final pit stop though, did do a tyre change. That means he's got a new fresh set of boots on the car, and he's able to push a little bit harder. Bernard Barkhuizen, on the other hand, only did a splash and dash, so he's on an old set of tyres, and now is just defending with that McLaren, doing everything he can to try and hold back Kieran as we jump to the rear wing. And you can see how close that Kieran closes up every so often to the back of that 720S. He runs out of it wide. Bernard Barkhuizen, not a comfy run there. And it's going to be all eyes for Kieran Patterson. First gear creating a lot of rotation, keeping the pedal straight to the floor, lying in sick, wanting to try and close up that gap at a rate of knots. Unfortunately, a little bit far back at the moment. 0.7, 0.8 of a gap. Going to have to make it under braking. Does so into the left-hander. Carries a lot of pace though. Nose starting to drag out, having to require a little bit more steering angle to get it all cinched in as they keep up the momentum, really putting on the power. And this is going to be an almighty charge to just keep it going. Patterson needs to try and dial it up to 10. Closes up. Couldn't quite get the pass on Bernard Barkhuizen. Look for the inside. Bernard runs out a bit wide. So does Kieran, as both make their way by. And they're going to realize that Paul Venter is the back marker that can make or break their race right now. It can change the top 5 in a jiffy for both these drivers. And for the likes of Paul Venter, he can either keep his foot absolutely planted, or he can create a little bit of a lift and allow the drivers to get on by as they make their way through. Loic Randall getting the pass. Well, Gideon Renner gets a pass on Loic Randall, and that is going to be an easy run between the two of them. A nice switcheroo between them, and focusing on where they need to be to try and close up that gap to Tiana Spuerta. Kieran Patterson still onto the back of Bernard Barkhuizen. Will be a little bit frustrated that Bernard didn't lose too much time behind Paul Venter, who actually got off the gas, allowed that pass to happen, and then continued on his own merry way. Doesn't want to get too involved in the fight, lying down in 22nd position. No real gains in anything at this point, as Kieran runs out a bit wide and really trying to sling that Mustang round. It's going for the inside though, and unfortunately the McLaren just keeping that momentum. Bernard Barkhuizen holding on by an absolute breath at this point to that top 5 and does not want to let it go. Bernard Barkhuizen's had a season of ups and downs throughout, and now wants to finish it off on and up. He doesn't want to lose out this time. He wants to stay in that top 5 all the way through. And considering he's lying in 6th with Kieran running in 5th, this is a championship fight. Bernard Barkhuizen has an opportunity to score huge points here that can help him get past Kieran Patterson. But now what he would ideally need is Kieran Patterson to lose the rear of that car and drop down an extra position to allow it to stay in for the fight. So Bernard Barkhuizen aiming for a top 5 in the championship to end it off, and a top 5 in the final race as they fight their way through. Nonetheless, it is going to be a charge and a half for both drivers to ensure that they stay in for an almighty run nonetheless, and it's going to be a hard fight to the end. I don't think this is going to end up in the easiest of races between them, as we see Tiana Spuerta now dealing with Gideon Renner. Tries to go around the outside, couldn't quite get it sorted out. Tiana Spuerta now needs to get Alberts out. Gideon Renner, who's going to be quite quick in that slipstream, closing up behind the McLaren. Looks for the inside, and it's going to be late on the anchors. Tiana Spuerta trying to close the door. Gideon Renner keeps the nose absolutely planted in, and unfortunately stuck on the outside. Tiana Spuerta, all he needs to do is start opening that steering up a little bit. He doesn't, though. Compromises his drive, and here comes Gideon Renner around the outside. Side by side they go. Spuerta up on the inside. They're going to continue to keep it going. Nonetheless, Spuerta not giving an inch. Stuck on that left quarter. And unfortunately loses out the drive to Gideon Renner, who gets that pass done and dusted. A quick touch of the brakes tells the story. And now Loic Randall within the fight as well, as we see Jordan Sherritt hovering in the background, waiting for his opportunity to get on by. And unfortunately, Tiana Spuerta loses out the gap. He tries to allow Jordan Sherritt by. Loic Randall, on the other hand, said thank you very much, takes the opportunity, and immediately keeps pushing that a little bit more. So Jordan Sherritt now needs to focus on his drive. Goes around the outside, going to split the two Omnius Gaming Ferraris up and say, right, chaps, move over. That's going to allow Tiana Spuerta to close up that little bit of a gap that was lost during the course of this race and see where it's going to close up and make it up for him. Loic Randall onto the back of Jordan Sherritt. Tried to look for a par, trying anyway to keep that little bit of a slipstream, that little bit of momentum. Might have even put his nose in for a query pass as the likes of Jordan Sherritt braking a little bit harder and allowing that time to clock roll over. Now the thing is, this only helps the drivers if Jordan Sherritt starts giving that little bit of a lift and starts seeing that timer run short. 1 minute and 6 seconds to go. And it's going to be all eyes towards Jordan Sherritt, Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, though, running into the top three. Now, just take your mind back to last night. Luke Addison got the win. Tariq Adam will be running in second place for his run. And, sorry, that's for round 5. Let's go to round 8. Apologies for that one. Round 8 for our race. The results of such. That would be a little bit not done as yet. Haven't been posted as yet. But Luke Addison got the win overall there. And Bernard Barkhuizen doing a bit of a defense with Kieran Patterson all over the back of him, trying to stay in for the fight. And yellow flags for Henry Platt, who comes off the gas and allows drivers to get on through. Not an easy time for him, as he does see the Omnius Gaming Aston Martin, Brandon Kruger trying to make his way through. Kieran Patterson with a look on the inside. 4, 3, 2, 1. And it is all out for Jordan Sherritt on his final lap. Cody Sherritt, Luke Addison, all pushing the hard charge to try and make up that little bit of time. And what a race it's been for our running order to ensure that they have closed up the gap. It's been a hard fight nonetheless. And our 37 now making his way through. Going to be quite happy with this one. Nice and gentle as he circulates his way around. Will be absolutely enthralled. He will be happy with what a result nonetheless, as we keep an eye on Kieran Patterson and Bernard Barkhuizen as they fight their way through. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, talk about an out-and-out victory. A driver that has really fought his way through, and once again showing why he's won the quickest sim races here in Africa, and will be taking the win for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship Season 20. That is all come unglued and come wild, taking his share of 15,000 Rand, sponsored by PokerBet. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming up to the line, gonna be smiling ear to ear. Give it up. Give it a round of applause. Your champion for Season 20, the PokerBet champion. Here comes Jordan Sherritt taking the win, with Cody Sherritt will be following suit in second place and has had a phenomenal run out there. And what a phenomenal time. Jordan Sherritt takes the championship. Cody Sherritt comes across the line in second place. Luke Addison taking third, with Christoph Peterson coming around, going after fourth position. He's going to be quite happy with that. Bernard Barkhuizen looks like he's broken away from Kieran Patterson, trying to close up that gap as much as possible, really laying it in for the fight. But it does look like Bernard Barques and Kieran Patterson, Daniel De Villiers, Bago Krobler, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Werner Skuman, Michael Donaldson, a fight that's still ongoing. Sorodio, Brandon Kruger, 12th and 13th. Brandon Kruger nipping at the heels. Sorodio, who's had such a stellar drive. I can't go and say it enough. Well done to Sorodio on this one. Kept it clean, kept it going. What a race, what a charge. He's going to fight it out though. 0.4, 0.3, he's got that Aston Martin hard on his tail. Brandon Kruger is going to have to try everything he can. Late lunges, full sends, couple of corners to go. Has he got enough in the bag? Is it going to be enough to keep ahead of Andre Sorodio? I think not. Sorodio is going to be happy with this. The BMW, the Project Vapor, comes across the line. Will be taking 12th position with the likes of Brandon Kruger giving a quick flash saying congratulations, well deserved. On the way through, Mahath Musa off a bad run still finishes up in a beautiful 14th position. What a run, what a race. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings to the end of round 8, the final round of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship, the final sprint, the final mainline racing of the week for ACC here at RaceFace.Pro, and done and dusted. And we are crowning our new champion, Jordan Sherritt. After Henry Mayer won the crown last season, Jordan Sherritt will be taking that and saying thank you. Thank you very much. And moving on forward, nonetheless. What a race. What an excitement. What a time. Unfortunately, highlights unavailable. It's fine. We had the replay system. I'm not mad. I'm happy. Wow. Let's go and have a chat to a couple of our drivers. Let's bring in our likes of our drivers. And starting off with the likes of our GT3 Championship, our Thursdays. And that is going to be third place going to the one and only Luke Addison, who also took the win for last night, becoming the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series champion. So let's bring in third place for tonight, Luke Addison, to the commentary box. Luke, welcome to the commentary box. Well done. What a season for you. Not only are you crowned the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series champion, getting your share of 10,000 Rand cash sponsored by PokerBet, but now finishing up in third place for round 8 of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 championship. And that looks to be securing you second in the championship. Done, dusted. I'm sure you're absolutely through the moon on this one.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really tired. It was very hard fought. Feeling a lot better than yesterday. Yesterday was a bit weird because I wasn't feeling too great, so I was very shocked by the pole and the race win yesterday. Today I felt a lot better, but the pace still wasn't really as much as I'd like it to be. Really nailed the start. Was very happy to get past Chris, and then he was exceptionally fast in the first stint. I spoke to him now in the interview room, and he said he just made a mistake in the pits, which lost him the slipstream, and then he just didn't have the pace in the second stint. So over the moon, really tired, but very thrilled.
I mean, this has been a season and a half for you. Lots of back and forth. I mean, Tariq Adam, your best friend, you went and fought it out with him for quite some time. Very difficult racing out there, but still managing to keep such a phenomenal run, and really done a fantastic job here tonight to hold that third place. Cody and Jordan made a quick run, but you had to fight through some very difficult traffic out there, especially in the darkest of Silverstones. I'm sure that was also weighing up and going, let's try and keep it together nonetheless.
Yeah, the season was very tightly contested. Everyone was super fast, kept all of us on our toes. It was really exciting all the way through from start to finish. You didn't really know what was going on entry and exit of the round, so kept everything a little bit on the toes and unpredictable. But yeah, very very good season. Very happy with the results, and yeah, very thrilled with tonight's performance.
Well, absolutely great stuff, and a podium not only tonight but also being on the podium for both championships. Luke Addison of ITV, but I've got to really ask. I mean, PokerBet is absolutely through the moon on the performance from last night and tonight. The fans out there in the VIP grandstands were absolutely going nuts out there, but also to the associate sponsors, they have gone through the roof. Anything you would like to say to our sponsors, to our petrol heads, to the drivers and teams that have competed against you night in and night out to get to the end here and rounding out 2024?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to PokerBet, all the sponsors involved, the RaceFace commentary team, everyone working behind the scenes, stewards, everyone involved. Also thank you to ITV, and then thank you to all the competitors for keeping the season very interesting, very exciting, very fast, very high pace environment. So yeah, thank you everyone for making it an amazing season. Thank you very much.
Absolutely great stuff. Congratulations, Luke Addison, on such a fantastic season. Absolutely brilliant running nonetheless. Luke Addison taking the win for the sprint series, but also taking the third place spot here tonight and second in the championship for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 championship. We've got a couple of drivers to go through. It's going to be quite a busy one, so do bear in mind and keep us with it as we're going to be pulling in our next set of drivers to have a chat to, and that is going to be our third place of our sprint series after doing a phenomenal job. Finished up third place last night, and that's after having a great run. Finishing up tonight a little bit further down the order than planned, sixth place tonight, but still put in a monstrous fight. Let's bring in Kieran Patterson. Kieran Patterson, welcome to the commentary box. First of all, congratulations. Last night, scoring that absolute run, third place in the sprint series, the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series Round 8, the Silverstone, and then tonight, a difficult race. You pulled a bit of a risky move to get it into the pits early on, but it's paid off. You got into sixth place. How are you feeling after tonight, and especially after last night's performance standing on the podium?
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, last night was good. I was unfortunate that it was a smaller grid, but always nice to still finish on the podium and end the season off well. I was happy with tonight's race. I think should have got P5, but Bernard's McLaren was just too wide and too quick out of the corners, so he was just better than me on the night. But it's okay. Happy to get out of the Ford and into something else next season.
Well, that's it. I mean, put the Ford to rest. The Mustang has done its job, and considering you've come from doing a lot of mid-engines, a little bit of a different taste. But, I mean, the season, take us through, Kieran. You have been finding it out. You were fighting out fifth in the championship for the RaceFace.Pro GT3 season championship powered by PokerBet. Tariq Adams sitting on 214 points. Looks like he may have scored enough points to possibly move up into that fourth place, and that will be for the season. I'm sure that's quite an exciting time on your part, but also just the nose-to-tail battles. You've had some of the roughest races. I mean, I take you back to Watkins Glen, where I'm sure that you wanted to throw the steering right out of the car and take it from Watkins Glen to Indianapolis at that point. But you've also had the highest of highs with the Mustang, fighting your way through some very, very close, intense battles throughout the season.
Yeah, it was a great challenge. I think going into the season, it was always just about coming back and having fun for the first season to get back into the swing of things, and getting top 10 in both series was the plan, and that's been achieved. So I've got no complaints. Like you say, a lot of good battles in the past. Great result at Suzuka. I think it was P2 there in the sprint. But yeah, the car works at some tracks, and then at others, it just doesn't go your way. I'm sure Chris Pedersen will be able to tell you all about his lows that he had throughout the season. But yeah, at the end of it, it was a memorable one, and looking forward to the next.
Oh, absolutely great stuff. And I'm sure the PWSR team going absolutely wild. But Kieran Patterson, anything you'd like to say to the amazing race fans out there that would be gnawing at the bit to jump in behind the wheel, just watch the pros go out and taking a look at all our sponsors, PokerBet coming to the front and really putting that sponsorship in behind it. Also, the likes of RaceFace bringing in Red Star Raceway, Scallywags Drifting Academy, and Extreme Service Center to be a part of the show as well.
Yeah, thanks to all the sponsors for sponsoring the series and the season. It was great. We'll be avid supporters throughout this from PWSR. Thanks to all yourself, to Hansi for all that he's done, as well as Tristan. And thanks to all you guys, all the supporters out there watching the races. It wouldn't be the same without you guys supporting us. So thank you very much.
Absolutely great. And ladies and gentlemen, keep this in mind. Kieran Patterson, remember the name, because the next time you're going to go see the Proteas climbing out, you will see Kieran Patterson take it to the field. I firmly believe that is going to be a part of our Proteas in the cricket team. Kieran, thank you so much. And please pass on to the PWSR team. What a fantastic run. Keep up the stellar work. And also a hi to our former commentator, one of the the legends that are here. And would say late in terms of coming to the commentary box. We hope to see him soon. Alan Patterson, going and give him a shout out for there.
Will do. Thanks, Steve. Cheers, guys.
Absolutely great stuff. And yeah, very late to the commentary box, Alan. But he was actually commentating last night, believe it or not. So we'd like to see him back into the box. Let's move on to our next set. As said, there's quite a bit to go through. Let's bring on Chris Peterson, who's had a phenomenal run, some highs, some lows, and got it going second last night in the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Sprint Series powered by PokerBet, and still put in a huge, tremendous effort here tonight with that little Honda. I mean, the only Honda that's been picked, the only madman to do it, came into tonight's championship lying in 8th and had a great fight nonetheless. Christoph Peterson, welcome back to the commentary box. It's always fantastic to have a chat to you. A difficult race nonetheless, a great season of ups and downs. You finished 4th here tonight. How are you feeling now that the season's done? That's it. You went and scored a podium last night. You just missed the podium here tonight. 1.7 seconds away from Luke Addison.
It's a perfect end to the season for me. Yeah, I didn't really expect to be so quick at Silverstone, but it was really nice that I could finish the season like that.
Incredible stuff. I mean, let's talk about it. Elephant in the room here. Only person to pick a Honda. I mean, this is a car that people have written off for destroying its tires. It's one that's like, why? Just why? Why not a Ferrari? And you decided to go with a Honda. You stuck with it for so many seasons in a row. Is there a special trick to the car? Is there something we don't know? Is VTEC a lot stronger than we think it is? Like, why?
I don't know. I just like how it drives, how the force feedback feels in the car, how it reacts to setup changes and everything. And I don't really mind its weaknesses. And it's coming back. Like more people pick it. It's not that underrepresented in like the highest competitions. I think like not in SRO or something, but in Elephant Pro you see a lot of Hondas. And yeah, like you can't overtake anyone on the straight really with it most of the time, but for sprint races, it's definitely a valid pick, I would say. Of course, like this 80-minute races, sometimes the tires go down a lot. Also in this race, also because of the cold temperatures, I had to go very aggressive on the brake ducts, and I think I got graining in the front, and the rears were worn down from the big load that Silverstone puts on them. But I don't know, for me the car is just worth it, like because I'm having a lot of fun with it, I'm successful with it, and yeah. Absolutely. I can recommend it definitely for everyone that wants to try something new.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Well, from Logistical Nightmare Racing, Christoph Peterson, anything you'd like to say to our amazing title sponsor, PokerBet, coming in, being a part of the show, putting in that pool as well, and being just a phenomenal part to the RaceFace team, along with RaceFace having the likes of Red Star Raceway, Scallywags Drifting Academy, and Extreme Service Center being a part of the show. I'm sure it's been a lot out there, but the main ones that we go also shout out: drivers, teams, and our amazing petrol heads. Week in, week out, 8 weeks they've been tuning in to watch all the racing.
Yeah, thanks to PokerBet and the other sponsors of RaceFace for making this possible and for giving us a little extra prize for racing. And I'm going to say also congrats to the winners of the respective championships, like to Luke and Jordan. And also thanks to my team for making this another fun season. This time even in 2 championships. Last time I didn't participate in the sprint, but it was definitely worth it to do both. I had a lot of fun even in the races that didn't went as well as this one. So yeah, if there's another season next year, I'm going to be back.
Absolutely great stuff. Well, you can bet there's going to be another season, but go and enjoy the celebrations. Go nuts. You earned it. Christoph Peterson, fantastic stuff. And you're always welcome back to South Africa. It's always glad to have our international competitors going and putting us to the test.
Thanks a lot. See you.
Cheerio. Wow, it's always great to have it. We talked about Tristan Herbst joining in the commentary box. Tristan, that's going to be a great stuff. But we're going to be moving on to our second place here tonight, and that is the one and only Cody Sherritt, who had a great run out there. Cody Sherritt, welcome to the commentary box. Second place here tonight. It wasn't quite the speed needed to catch Jordan Sherritt, but was definitely the speed that you needed to go and hold on to that third place in the championship. How are you feeling after such a season? It's been ups, it's been downs, it's been exciting. You've had some of the most phenomenal races, and once again, the Sherritt's locking out that front two, and I'm sure it was that another time of, I'm going to get you, best watch your back.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely been a good season. Obviously, if I didn't miss round 1, I think I would have had a good championship battle with Luke. But yeah, the race today wasn't bad. Obviously, it'll take a lot to try to stay with Jordan. But yeah, I just did my race and managed to stay ahead of Luke.
Well, absolutely phenomenal stuff, and some great efforts. We saw some great side-by-side moments. If you had to take a moment out of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship and just put it on the wall, what would that moment be to you?
I'd probably actually say Barcelona. I think it was the one race where I didn't finish on the podium, and I guess it just changed my mindset to be a lot better, and I did that for the remaining races.
Oh, absolutely incredible stuff. And as a former champion, you know what it takes to be at the top. I mean, also to see how things have grown. Taking a look at PokerBet being our title sponsor, putting that prize pool on the line, which is something when you were the champion, this wasn't there. We didn't have a thing like this. And then you suddenly also had the likes of Extreme Service Center, Red Star Raceway, and Scallywags Drifting Academy jumping on board. I mean, this is a huge amount of thing. Anything you would like to say to the sponsors from your side?
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks to the sponsors for giving us their time. Obviously the sim racing community is growing year by year, and so the sponsorships adding brings more drivers, which is very good.
Oh, it's absolutely great stuff. But Cody Sherritt, we cannot go and say any negative things. I mean, the great stuff. All the people tuning in, being a part of the show, our petrol heads out there, the teams and drivers that kept going. They've been cheering you on. Lots of support in the grandstands. Anything you would like to say to our amazing petrol heads that supported you throughout the season?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to all the viewers, thanks to all the competitors for making a good season. Thanks to the sponsors, and thank you for your commentary.
Absolutely great stuff. Fantastic runs and great to see it all. Cody Sherritt taking second place here tonight. What a success, mate. Fantastic run.
Thank you.
Well, that is exciting. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together. He's earned it. He's become it. He is now the champion, the 2024 champion. The final race of 2024, scored the final race win, and is now officially Season 20's champion for the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. Jordan Sherritt, once again, proving why you are one of the fastest sim racers here in Africa. How are you feeling with that? What a time out there. You managed to open the distance 16.3 seconds ahead of your own brother, but it has been a tough mountain for you to climb to eventually score the win. I mean, if we take a look at round 1, it did not finish. You didn't get to the end. Round 2 was first. Round 3 was first. Round 4, 16th position after having a double drive through, a stop-go 32nd, but you still finished the race and you managed to round out the rest of the season all in first place. I mean, you've had it where most drivers would throw in the towel, but you've also had some of the best luck in the world out here. How are you feeling with that?
Yeah, good. I mean, that race was very long. I can tell you that one. I just wanted it to finish at the end. But for the whole season, yeah, it's been good. Bit of bad luck from my end, my misfortunes. My dumbass just doesn't think sometimes, I think I know where the pit lane is or the limit of it is, and I don't, and then I mess it up twice in a row. Yeah, that's not good. But I just managed to keep it clean throughout the rest of the races, and then made it a lot harder for myself. But I think it was a fun championship, and I'm quite happy overall.
One of those moments you go back to the lines and taking luminescent paint and just repainting the lines. But Jordan, I mean, fantastic stuff out there. You came into the race ahead in the points. Going and seeing how close the qualifying was between yourself and your brother, Cody Sherritt, how did that look? I mean, the rest of the field were closing up at a rate of knots on you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really practice too much for this one, but yeah, I mean, my brother and I always practice pretty much similar anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I mean, it was quite close in quality, but I knew in the race, I'm like, I knew I had the edge because I'm naturally more consistent throughout the race, and I'm able to keep a certain pace where my brother kind of falls off, which I know, because we practice together and I can see. So I know that I've always got, like, let's say, the upper hand, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it was good. It was a fun race. Very cold temperatures again, like the last race. So it makes it quite difficult with the tires, especially at Silverstone now with the long bends and the slower corners where you have to get onto the power off the corners. So it was quite tricky. And as I said before, I just wanted the race to end. It was just going. It was like one of those races that never ended. They just kept going and going and going. I was like when we were in the Discord, I was like, no, come, I want it to end. And then there was still more laps. There was another 20 minutes left, and I was like, oh shit. But yeah.
I mean, it's always that tough time, but what a run. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. I mean, the sponsors, PokerBet, Red Star Raceway, Scallywags Drifting Academy, Extreme Service Center, all going and cheering on and saying well done, getting the countless messages running through. Anything you would like to say out to the sponsors on from your side?
Yeah, I mean, obviously without them, this would not be possible. So thanks to PokerBet, and I don't really know the others, but I'm sure you've mentioned them multiple times. And of course yourself and Tristan for broadcasting the Pro-Am, and obviously being part of this one. So that's awesome. And yeah, thanks to everyone who's watching in the stream and all the supporters, etc. You make this fun for what we do. So without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. Especially bringing the sponsors on board, because without viewers, there isn't any money. So yeah, we need to keep it going.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Jordan Sherritt, you are the 2024 champion for Season 20 of the RaceFace.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. Congratulations, and you have got yourself that share of 15,000 Rand for 2024. Go and enjoy the celebrations with your mates. Absolutely fantastic. And on our side, legendary driver, and we look forward to seeing you next season. And keep that representation in the overseas racing. You're doing a fantastic job for all us back here at home.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have
Cheers.
a good evening. Cheerio. Wow, oh wow, what an exciting time, and that does bring us to the end of it all. Tristan, can you believe it? 8 weeks done and dusted, champions crowned, and that is it. A sprint series finished after the revival this year. A season 20 done and dusted for the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship. PokerBet this year breaking history of 250,000 Rand given to drivers in cash and PokerBet credits. We have seen it all this year. We have seen the highs, the lows, the thrills, the spills, the drama, the tears, the blood, sweat, and tears that have come into it. And it's all finished. And to just really round off the thing, for anyone that's still here, the replay system worked. Computer didn't break. Yes!
Let's go. Yeah, no, that was a rather interesting race. Silverstone being super technical, super intense on that left side of your car, especially with all the right-hand turns. This was definitely a really good race to finish off our season. It was a tight, action-packed grid. We unfortunately saw a disqualification here in the Pro-Am side, and a couple of drivers unfortunately putting the plug a little bit early. And multiple stop-goes, actually. A couple of drivers just not finding that pit exit line to get that car into second gear. But very eventful race. Lots and lots of action. We had the fight for second in the championship all the way down to the final race of round 8 of here. And we'll only find out once the points have been accumulated who takes second. Joan Viviers took it by over 100 points, but second place was extremely tight. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I mean, man, Steven, it's been 8 long and adrenaline-filled weeks. It's finally over. It's time to go soak up the sun on the festive December season and then nail it all back again. Season 21 next year. Can you believe it?
Now it's going to be an exciting time in sim racing coming alive around South Africa. So definitely keep an eye on it, folks. It's going to be not one to miss out on. I've got to say, been a fun time. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed the racing. And we've got to also say a huge, huge thank you to all our sponsors. PokerBet being that title sponsor, coming up to the show, being part of the fray. Absolutely shout out to you. Also to Red Star Raceway, which we got to reiterate that the winners of tonight's race, first and second, will score each 2 tickets going to the Red Star Raceway for the Passion for Speed event for 2025. We'll see you guys there. It's going to be a bit of fun. I'm looking forward to meeting the sim racers that we've been commentating all year long about. Finally get to see them at the racetrack and get to see them in person. I wonder who has been going and telling stories about how tall they are. We're going to find out next year. But obviously, so much going on. Shout out to all the admins here at RaceFace.Pro. Big shout out, Hansi Myberg, for being the backbone here in ACC. Absolutely well done, buddy. Bertus Hugo, the owner of RaceFace.Pro, making this all happen, being that main driving force to get the sponsors. Always fantastic to have it. Also, I'd like to say a personal shout out to Tristan Herbst, taking up the mantle of becoming a commentator here at RaceFace.Pro. Not only a driver, a team manager, or now can add a commentator to it as well. So Tristan, thank you so much for going and streaming the Pro-Ams. Thank you for being one of the voices in people's heads. And welcome in the commentary box. You have now etched your name forever into the legendary microphone that has been held by George G. Max, Alan Patterson, Bertus Hugo, Doe Gerber, yourself. I mean, there has been some amazing voices passing by.
You're forgetting one there. Stephen Koenig is still there.
Nah, not quite. I'm the irritation. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's been fantastic. Tristan, any final things you'd like to share off the top of your head to our amazing spectators?
Ladies and gentlemen, Season 20 is officially wrapped up. We are closed and finished now until next year, but do not forget this weekend we've got some nice hot racing down in the sun. 24 hours of brutal hardcore send around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit in Belgium. And Stephen, do you want to give the funny and weird retaliation news that we've got coming for this weekend for ourselves alike?
Well, other than it's Spa 24.
Well, no.
I would say it's Spa 24, but we could talk about the news, or we can let people tune in to see Tristan Herbs team up with a couple of other drivers, unsuspecting to any of you. Some say that he's going to have to climb the Weinberg to get in the car. But the only way you're going to find out is by tuning in this weekend for that Spa 24. I'm going to leave it there, Tristan. We got to have some little bit of secrecy to it.
Definitely.
But entries are still open. If you think you are faster than the team captain of Omnius Gaming, and you think you're faster than our quickest admin here at RaceFace.Pro, SimGrid is still open. Register out there. Get your team together. And on Saturday, we go live at 1 o'clock. 24 hours of Spa. Do not miss it. Lots going to happen. Going to be a great time. Final race of the year. And it's going to be a great one. But, Tristan, I know you had the pro-am. You said it. But let's do it properly here. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And, Tristan, what do we say?
Good night, everybody.
Absolutely bang! With all the amazing racing that comes to you weekly, we have to give acknowledgement to our sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible here at RaceFace.Pro. So starting off with our first sponsor, let's go and take your hats off to PokerBet. For all the tournaments, for all the cash gains, daily free rolls, and sports betting, there's no better place to be and win with PokerBet. With it all revved up and you're looking for high speed, whether you're into drag, drift, or even long circuit, Red Star Raceway has got you covered. If you're looking to upgrade your car or make sure it's running slick and smooth, go and head over to Extreme Service Center to get you that full mile across the race line, or whether you're going good in the dash. Sliding in to keep you on your toes, Scallywags Drift Academy will keep you right at the top of the pack. And if you're looking for all your streaming needs, head over to Tenvo Tech for all the overlays. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an honor having you. We'll see you next time right here from the THT Productions.